Hey guys, Unfrequented World, and do you know what today is? It's not Christmas, but it feels like Christmas. I ordered myself a new lens the week before Christmas, and it just got here now. So I'm going to do a full review for the Sony Minolta users out there looking for a long lens. I agonized over this decision for a long time. Do you buy a 25-year-old lens that has no warranty and mediocre results depending on which teleconverter you use, or do you go with one of these? 2017 Panzerfaust model. Okay, it's not a rocket launcher. It is the Tamron 150-600 G2, so the second version, and mine is for Sony mount. Right away you guys are going to notice that I have mine mounted on my gimbal head, and the reason I can do this with this lens is that it has an amazing feature which allows us to lock the zoom ring in any position by simply sliding it forward. So then we can find our center of balance. And for me, I'm going to be using it at the 600mm range quite a bit on this head. So I can put it out, lock it in, find my center of balance, and use it as if it were a prime lens at 600mm. Another amazing feature of this lens is that they have the Arca Swiss mount built right into the bottom of the tripod mount here. You'll notice on the Sony mount that all we have is the autofocus manual focus button and a full 10 meters to infinity full or 10 meters to 2.2 meter adjuster. There is no built-in stabilization in this lens for Sony or Minolta because all of our cameras have it built in. So I can throw up the specs for this lens. That's not the important part. Anybody can go online and find those things anywhere. The important thing that we want to look at with this lens is 100% crops. I've only had it for about an hour, and I've just been playing with the bird feeder here and waiting for some birds. There are none right now, but we're going to take this for a few days. I'm going to go hiking in the forest. I'm going to use this lens. That's it. That's all I'm using for the next week. Take a lot of pictures, and then we're going to view them zoomed in. And I think what I'm going to do for most of this review is try to shoot it wide open. I may switch and do a few shots with f8 and f11 just to show you maximum sharpness, but I'm most interested to see wide open. And eventually what we're going to do is we're going to pit this against my Sony 7400, which I have a love-hate relationship with. Both my 7300 and 7400 give me issues where they say that they're locked on and they're really not locked on, and I get missed shots. Does it solve my issue that I have with the 7400? It is a little bit bigger, but if it works better, I'm going to carry it. So I've just spent half an hour with the lens doing a micro focus adjustment. I have a video on my channel for that, guys. And -6 seems to be the sweet spot here on my A022s II. I'll have to repeat the process for the A99, but -6 for my particular lens. I have my micro focus adjusted for 600mm. So far, the only thing that I've found that I'm not 100% happy with is the adjustment for the lens collar right here. It's a little bit small and fiddly. So they should have had an actual knob. The other thing is, so when we loosen this and we turn the lens, it is not the smoothest turning lens. I mean, it's not bad, it's not horrible. But if I compare this to my Tamron 300 2.8 lens, that is as smooth as butter. This is just a little, you can hear it. So in addition to the very zoom lock here that we can lock at any focal length by pulling out, they also have a zoom lock for the 150 range right here, the button that we can lock into place, and then it doesn't zoom. So if you're traveling with this on your shoulder, you would probably want to put it back to the 150 mark and lock it in there. So zoom throw is probably just over 100 degrees. The zoom is very smooth. It's got a good stiffness to it. When you're right in tight at the 150 mark, it's a little tighter, but it's not bad. And no zoom creep anywhere at any focal range. Okay, here we are, guys, at minimum focusing distance. We are at 600mm, and I just wanted to show you guys how accurate with the Sony A77 the central focus point can be. So I'm just going to find where we're just out of focus and move it. No problems at all. And this is not the best lighting today. It's kind of an overcast winter day. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so it wouldn't be fair if we didn't show the A022s focus system. And the nice thing about the A022 is that we can choose the central focus point, but it will also select the points around the center. So it should make it even more accurate, even faster. It's kind of nice that the feeder's blowing around there, so we can, like it was a moving animal or something. But the A022 is performing very well. Okay, an indoor extreme low light test just to show you guys the focusing. I'm about 12 feet away from a diploma on the wall, and I just wanted to show you guys that it is actually pretty quick focusing. So indoor shooting, this lens tends to overshoot and come back slow and locks focus very well. This is extreme low light here, guys. So there you can see every time it's going to shoot right past and then come back slowly to find focus. I can live with that because it's actually finding and locking focus very reliably, so excellent. Okay, I also just had to show you guys how this will focus on the snowy ground, because sometimes there isn't a lot to find when it's white. No problems. And this is with the A022. Look at this thing go. One more excellent thing that you're going to get with this lens is a 6-year Canadian warranty. And as soon as you register your product, it goes up to 10 years. So I paid $1,800 with tax for this lens. It's brand new. It's not 25 years old. I'm getting 200 millimeters more than I would if I bought the old Minolta 400. The zoom range might be a little bit more useful in some situations. And from what I can see, the image quality is not suffering at all.
So it's day 2 and it's 9 o'clock in the morning and we have normal, typical winter Canada light. And I just wanted to point out, most of you will know this, but some of the novices might not. To catch anything that's moving with this lens, you're going to need an ISO of 1000 or better. So with 1000 this morning, I can maintain a shutter speed of 1/160th. So that problem will be resolved with the purchase of a new A99 II. So that was just on the A99 that we can shoot 1000. We are going to do some test shots with the A77 II as well, but you're going to need even better light because the shutter speed is, you're not going to be able to maintain that. And being a crop sensor, the A77 II, obviously once you bump those ISOs up, the image quality comes down. So just something to keep in mind. Okay, so I know it's winter lighting and it's bad, but I decided to throw my Kenko Pro 300 1.4 teleconverter on the lens and see if it would focus. It will not focus on my Sony 7400, and I thought I'd give this a try. It won't focus in this light, so I'll show you guys that right now. Okay, there's the converter. And here we are, we will try to focus. Very quiet, but it will not focus. And I'll just show you guys the light that we're dealing with here. I'm not done with that. If we get some sunshine this week, I will throw that converter on there and try it again. The 7400 will autofocus, but it needs very good light. So we'll try that again on the Tamron, hopefully later this week, if we see the sun. Up here in Canada, you never know. My God, we've got to hurry. The sun came out. I might have 2 minutes to test that converter. There it is, the elusive sun. Let's find out. Just to throw it out of focus here. Huh.
So I just wanted to note that even though the Kenko Pro 1.4 converter won't autofocus, maybe if we have even better light it might, you can still use it and get manual focus. I kind of knew that this would be the case going in because Tamron makes for this lens their own specific 1.4 and 2 times adapters, which somehow they've electronically modified so that they do work with the lens. So that's something to keep in mind, that your TCs that you own now won't work, but so far I'm impressed with the image quality and the speed of this lens. Let's get to the pictures so that you guys can see what I'm seeing. Okay, in this segment here, guys, we're going to take a look at some of these pictures a little closer up. I tried to get some wildlife this week, but it was minus 30 and there wasn't too much cooperating, so we'll go over a few basic things with this lens. The first thing we'll look at and mention is that all of these were shot at 600 millimeters. This was the closest focusing distance, and this shot here was with the A99. So there's the A99, and wide open 6.3, 600 millimeters. All of these shots are shot with that scenario unless I mention otherwise. So let's just go into 100% and take a look. These are all straight out of the camera, no adjustments made. That's very good sharpness right there. Very good detail. And if we look at the edges, we can also see, we can look for CA and things where this is shot on a white background. And this lens, there is no CA that I can find whatsoever anywhere. It is very well controlled. Okay. Another image here, focused on this nut. There's 100%. We can see there might have been a little bit of movement blur here. 1/80th of a second again at 600 millimeters. Again, let's look for CA. This is a perfect image where you would normally see some CA. On the edge of this water bubble here. That's about as bad as it gets, guys. Look at this metal here. For sure, any other lens that I own, most of them, there would be some visible CA on metal against a white background. This lens, nothing whatsoever to speak of. Maybe this right here, I'm not sure if this is reflected light, or maybe that's how the CA shows up with this lens. A little bit of a different color to it, but we're at 120% right here. You would never notice that at normal viewing distances. But what I'm classifying as CA is the purple fringing and sometimes the green fringing that we get with Sigma lenses. I don't see any of that here with this Tamron. Now this image here was shot with the A022s at about 100 yards, and I shot it at f11, I believe. I just wanted to see what kind of detail could be pulled out. There we go, f11, 600 millimeters. What kind of detail could be pulled out of the crop sensor? And if we go into 100% here, it's really not too bad. These are, again, straight out of the camera. We could add a bit of contrast maybe and a little bit of sharpness. Maybe even a detail filter, something like that. But really, straight out of camera, that is not bad, guys. 600 millimeters. We want to go to this image here first. So this image here, again, 1/60th of a shutter speed. And what we're getting, if we look at these feathers here, 200%, there is detail there. It is not
the most detail I've ever seen, and that's because 1/60th of a second wasn't enough to freeze this guy. And the proof of that is this image here. When the bird turned around, I got him again, and look at the detail. Same 1/60th of a second, but the bird actually stopped moving for a second, and look at the detail we can get in these feathers here. Absolutely amazing. This meets my requirement anyway. Again, straight out of camera, no sharpening, no color adjustments. These images here, I wanted to look for flare. This is as much sun as we could get in the Canadian winter. The sun is behind some clouds here. But if we look right here, just below the sun to the right, we'll see a little bit of flaring, and it's minimal. If we look for CA in these branches, nothing to speak of. This stuff here I think is reflected sunlight, this little bit of orange. I see no purple, I see no green. There is just no CA to speak of in this lens. And check here where there's no sunlight being reflected. Very sharp. These images here were shot at f/16. But we know it's a sharp lens because we can see when you get these nice jagged edges. We're at 2000% here, and this lens has captured a nice crisp image, even right down into the corners. Look at that. Down here we do have a little bit of color distortion, but even that I wouldn't say is CA. Maybe that's a shadow issue. It was pretty dark this morning, and we can tell by looking at these shadows here the ISO performance. This is with the A99. A99, 1/12/50th of a second, f/16. And these are at 150 millimeters, I should mention that as well. Trying to get this whole sky scene here just so we could look for CA. And like I say, there is none to speak of. This here is reflected sunlight again on the inside because the sun is over here in the middle, down here. So overall, guys, excellent quality.
I wanted to point out one other thing that I found with this lens collar system that most people probably wouldn't even notice, but on the 7400, the distance between the bottom of the foot and the lens is very small, like 1 finger width separates them. And all the time I find that very annoying when I grab the lens and I want to turn. Sometimes your hand has to go inside that space, or you have to let go, re-grip, and keep adjusting, and it's not natural. There is a lot of space in here, and it is excellent. I can turn, grab and turn, and I don't have to keep adjusting my grip. So, well thought out. Okay guys, final thoughts after shooting this lens for 1 week. I am going to give this lens a rating of freaking excellent. I do not own a lens that will give me this good of quality through this range. My 7400 is an excellent lens. I have mentioned the focus issues that I get where sometimes within a centimeter it thinks it's locked focus and it's not. Not once in the 500 picture shooting spree that I did this last week with this lens did I have that issue. When it locks onto a subject, it locks on and it is in focus. It actually focuses a little bit faster than my 7400. Very quiet, might even be a little bit quieter than the 7400. A little bit larger lens, 4.5 pounds, still very hand holdable. In the long run, if you're going to be carrying it for long periods of time, I definitely recommend a gimbal setup like I have here, and the locking mechanism that allows you to hold any position so you can treat this as if it were a prime lens is fantastic. Perfect solution for me. I also own a strap system that I carry lenses on. That worked excellent as well. The one downfall with this lens being that it is 6.3 at 600 millimeters is that shooting wildlife, you've got to get high ISOs to keep your shutter speed up. And so in doing that, the A022s, the image quality can suffer a little bit because it's an APS-C camera. It's not as nice as the A99. We can make do with the A99, but I think you would get the most out of an A99 II or an A7R3, something like that, which has a little bit better low light capabilities if you're shooting wildlife like I am. So I can't say enough. The one last thing I want to stress, guys, 10-year warranty on this. when you buy the 7400G from Sony, you get a 1-year warranty. I haven't had any issues. My 7400 is now 8 years old. Never had an issue with it. But if you did, you wouldn't be covered. This, you're covered for 10 years. So good on you, Tamron. Thanks for watching, guys. I can't recommend this lens enough.